I'm going to preview the number 20 Baylor at number 11 Florida Winds volleyball game, which will be played on September 14th at noon Central Time on ESPN2. There will be live stats as well, and I apologize for looking out because I cannot memorize all this stuff. And to briefly go over what happened to Baylor volleyball in the last 3 games here against Northwestern, St. Mary's of California, from California, and Rice, all were wins. The first one was complicated against Northwestern. It was a 3-2 win. Baylor won the first set 25-18, but then they lost the next two 25-23, and they actually had a set lead, and they blew it. Then they started really rough in that third set, but they claimed back, but not enough to win it because they lost that set 19-25. But then Baylor won the next set 25-18 to force the fifth, and they were even down in the fifth, but somehow came back to win 15-12. Now the other two wins were 3-0 wins. St. Mary's from California, 25-10, 25-11. The other score, the third set score was a little bit closer, 25-17. Now against Rice, and that's a good Rice team that should make the NCAA tournament as long as they win a lot of games this year. And they were receiving votes at the time, so it's not like there were some no-name program or anything like that. 25-17, 25-15. Then it got a little dicey at the very end, 25-23. If you go about it like the play-by-play, Baylor was actually had up like 24-20. Yeah, Rice came back close. But Baylor was fortunate to not go to a third set. To a fourth set here against Rice at the time. Because that could have been more drama, to say the least. And it's good to sweep 2 teams in a row. Up to this point now, Florida on their hand, they actually played number 25 North Carolina recently, and you would be surprised by the result, to say the least. Florida actually lost 3-0, 23-25, 18-25, 21-25. The only other loss for Florida this year was against Stanford, and that's a very understandable loss. Let's be real. It was like 3-1 in the game number 1. 25-22, Florida won the first set, but the next 3 sets, 19-25, 22-25, 22-25. Now, this Florida team actually did defeat Pitt, and that's a good win right there when you look at the rankings right now. And it was a 3-2 win, but it was 19-25, 25-15, 15-25, 26-24, 15-13. Now, the other 3 wins were, I would say, expected. Norfolk State, yeah, that's 3-0, 25-18, 25-13, 25-12. Now, USF was as in South Florida, was a little bit more of a challenge because they had to go to 4 sets instead of just 3. 25-18, 17-25, 25-20, and 26-24. Now, Ohio State on the road, they're not the same Ohio State when they were ranked when Baylor played them a few years ago. Down here, they're not the same team, by the way. Because that season that Baylor beat them, Ohio State had a really rough year. So, they're not the same team since. It was a 3-0 win, but the first set was really, really close, 25-23. Second set was close, 25-20, but the third set, 25-14. So Florida is 4-2 on the season, while Baylor's 5-1. And obviously there is a connection between Baylor and Florida because Gabrielle Essex is a grad transfer from Florida. I will say though, Florida does have a new head coach this year. So I just want to make mention of that. I will put in the description below the stats for Florida and the roster for Florida. And maybe some of these players are familiar with Gabrielle Essex that are returning potentially we'll see. And there is more data on Florida than the other matches I have done up to this point. Obviously, the first 3 games I did based on last year's stats and then listed like notable transfers. But then, of course, like the past the 3 games prior, I just did the first 3 games only, and that's it. Now, from here on out, will be a lot more sets played, and Florida's played 22 sets this year, so. And I'm only going to go over like a certain amount of sets per player, like anything below 16, I'm not going to go over, just to make things a little bit faster. Now, what are some players to keep it on here without further ado? Jayla Auguste, Auguste, number 4, a 6'2" middle blocker that is a sophomore. 48 kills on 98 attempts with 15 attacking errors. 3 assists, 7 service aces, 15 service errors, 7 digs, 25 blocks, which ties for most on the team, and 5 of those blocks were solo, 4 blocking errors. Now there's Alexis Stuckey, number 5, a 6'2" setter that is a redshirt junior. 12 kills on 31 attempts with 4 attacking errors, 169 assists, which is the most on the team. 3 service aces, 4 service errors, 39 digs, 9 blocks, and 0 solo, 1 ball blocking error, 1 ball handling error. There's Ella Vogel, V-O-G-E-L. I apologize if I butchered that. Number 6, 5'7" libero / defensive specialist. That is a redshirt freshman. 1 assist, 13 service aces, which is the most on the team, and 12 service errors, which is also most on the team. 2 receiving errors, 48 digs. That's it. There's Emily Cannon, C-A-N-A-A-N. Number 7, 5'8" libero / defensive specialist. That is a senior. 1 kill on 1 attempt, 10 assists, 3 service aces, 8 service errors, 1 receiving error, 38 digs. That's it. Okay, I'm not going to go over the next player on the list here. I want to go over like Milica Vidacic, Vidacic. And the first name, how to spell it, Milica. 6'4" opposite. That is a freshman. .26 kills on 68 attempts with 11 attacking errors, 2 service aces, 1 service error, 6 digs, 7 blocks, 2 blocking errors. That's really it. There's Kiara Hudson, number 12, 6'3" outside hitter as a redshirt freshman. 29 kills on 103 attempts with 16 attacking errors, 7 assists, 5 service aces, 3 service errors, 12 receiving errors, which is the most on the team. 35 digs, 15 blocks, 3 solo, 5 blocking errors, and 1 ball handling error. There's Lily Hayes, number 13, a 5'9" libero / defensive specialist. That is a freshman. One kill on 3 attempts with 1 attacking error, 18 assists, 1 service ace, 7 service errors, 1 receiving error, 81 digs, which is the most on the team by far. And that's really it. And the leader in kills is coming up, and it's Jordan Bird, B-Y-R-D, number 14, 6'4" outside hitter. That is a redshirt sophomore. 85 kills on 223 attempts with 35 attacking errors, which is the most on the team in both of those categories, besides the kills here. 2 assists, 1 receiving error, 6 digs, 10 blocks, no solo, 1 block and error. There's Taylor Parks, number 20. A 5'11" setter that is a sophomore. 2 kills and 4 attempts with, no attacking errors. 58 assists, 1 service ace, 6 service errors, 19 digs, 1 block, 0 solo. That's it. And really, the last player is Alec Roth, Rothe, number 25, 6'3" middle blocker that is a sophomore. 43 kills on 96 attempts with 14 attacking errors, 1 assist, 7 digs, 25 blocks, which is also the most on the team. But however, the solo blocks is only like 3 of those, and two blocking errors and 1 ball handling error. I'm going to just say it the way it is. Florida's going to come into the match ticked off, especially when they lost to a number 25 team in the country on the road. 3-0. Let's be real. And luckily, Baylor is not playing any games prior to this, so they're prepping for this game. And this is really a toss-up game when I see one, and this is probably the easiest ranked win Baylor could get in the non-conference league, because I don't know about Texas at Texas, and I'm not overlooking Florida or even UCF on the road, right, which is right after this game against Florida, and it just makes sense to go to UCF when they're that close with Florida, to go there. It just makes a ton of sense. And honestly, I do like UCF, like on literally that month. I'm going to preview that ahead of time on like that Monday, or on, just literally on Monday after the rankings, or even before the rankings come out. Just a heads up there. Because Texas is going to be really tough for Baylor to get that win. I know that there's a first time for everything, but Baylor's never won in that building against Texas. Now, this is a more gettable match. And you could say the same thing about like what happened against SMU. That was gettable. SMU, Baylor let off the hook a little bit. They only lost out like 3-2, and that's the only loss Baylor's had this year. And the good news is they also played against like Texas A&M, that was a preseason top 10 team, as a practice game. So that really helped, in my opinion. I know Florida is very battle tested. Stanford, Pitt. In the first 2 games alone, and they split those games, which was huge for them. Because just imagine if they lost both, they would be 3-3 right now. Then now they lost to to North Carolina, and that. So it just goes to show maybe they're more gettable than I thought. But anyway, back to what needs to happen for Baylor in this match. Obviously, you got to make adjustments on the fly, not just from set 1 to set 2, but throughout the sets. Or not just set 1 to set 2, set 3, set 4, set 5 maybe, or even 4. You got to make adjustments. You got to stay resilient, play tough, don't be intimidated by the home crowd, and take the crowd out of the game as much as possible by getting a lot of points. And don't allow any momentum to get back at them. And then all this. And if you have a lead, protect it. If you're trailing, come back. And I know there might be some questionable calls, but you got to be the mentally tougher team and make plays to win. Sometimes your best defense comes from your serving. Serve tough. Get them out of system. If you can force like an overpass, take advantage of it. And I forgot to mention like 2 things really. Whatever you did right the last 3 games and in practice, bring it to this game. And obviously whatever you did wrong and all that, you got to bring it to this game. and you got to correct it. It's just Captain Obvious, I know, but still. You got to have your blocking step up, and I'm sure Gabrielle Essex wants to beat her team really bad, former school really bad. I am sure of it. So you got to be hungry. And you can't be, sure, it's nice to beat Rice, but let's get a ranked win for a change. You're right there with SMU last time. This is a prime opportunity, and they're coming off of a loss. If they could lose to number 25, they could certainly lose to number 20. I'm not saying that's going to definitely happen, but when you look at the rankings, yeah, it makes some sense. You got to dig every ball. I mean, just to extend the rally and then take advantage of it and win those points. And sometimes you got to win those long rallies because it does make a difference in the match. And getting some service aces would really help. Of course, like, I know you want to limit your service errors, but you got to be aggressive on serving. Whether it's like a short serve, and if you could tell, hey, this area can't handle a pass, a serve, continue to attack it until they could stop. They could pass the ball well. I mean, and obviously you don't want to have like a net violation. Same thing goes for foot faults. We don't want that. Now, obviously, another thing, you don't want to have like rotation errors, because that is a real thing. They will call that. I know they will. And obviously, you don't want to have like ball handling errors, like 2 touches. But still. And then, of course, if you could tell, like, hey, they're going to go there, block it. And obviously, you might have to adjust your hands on where the block goes. I mean, if the ball hits your hand, try to dig that ball out. Obviously, if it goes like on the other side of the net, you can't do anything about that. And you don't want to hit like that antenna thing on the sides either, albeit on the attacking or anything like that, but still. Obviously, you need to receive well, because that could set up your offense and don't be out of system, and you don't have like overpasses and as much as possible, because you don't want to give them any free shots. And if you do give them free shots, you got to try to dig that ball out. Try to. And obviously, like, you got to have some variety on offense, because you don't want to be predictable. But the thing about it is, if it works on one particular player of that game, continue to ride it until they can stop it. But at the same time, I know they're going to go like, oh, they know where we're going. I mean, and then they stop it and get the blocking on us. And you could try to limit their blocks. The digs, it is what it is on that. If they could dig the ball out, then play really good defense. But obviously, you don't want to make them dig the ball out, whether it's like a touch or just a full-on spike. And you got to try to limit those attacking errors, because you don't want that to be the difference. And like, I know you don't want to try to hit the ball long without them touching it, but try to get their hands on the ball. If it goes out, like, make sure it hits their hands and all this. So, and another thing, you got to win the jousting whenever it comes to that battle up top. And this is a really gettable game now. I kind of thought this was gettable anyway, because it's a new head coach and it's on the road. I know that's tough, but it's a lot more. It's more gettable than Texas at Texas. And if you really want to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, this is one of those games you need to find a way to win. Because if you do, that will really help yourself. And you know the Big 12 they have like 6 ranked teams right now, including yourself. And you're going to get to play technically 6 of them, because you're going to play TCU twice and everybody else just once, whether it's at home. And the majority of those games are at home, by the way. And then there's only like Arizona State on the road and TCU on the road, and not to sleep on Arizona because they're like a receiving votes team, and you got to play them on the road. So there's going to be ample opportunities to get some like ranked wins in there, but you need to find a way to win some ranked games here, because it would really help your NCAA tournament resume down the line to be like a 5 seed at work. I mean, I don't really want to be a 7 seed. You don't want that. You want to be like a 5 seed or better, really technically 4 seed, because then you get to host the first 2 rounds, but even then, it's a 50-50 thing against 4 versus 5. You'd rather find a way to win a lot of ranked games on the schedule as much as possible, and then you get yourselves to a 3 matchup. But even a 3 is not a guarantee, because you could tell last year's results, some 3 seeds got knocked out. But you get the message. It would help your RPI besides being a top 4 seed in a NCAA tournament down the line when selection comes. You got to stay hungry, stay fired up. And all the pressure is really on Florida. So you really have no pressure on you going to this game. Because I do think, win or lose, Baylor's going to still be ranked. I would say a win will definitely move up, while Florida will definitely move back. But even with the Baylor loss here, I don't think they're going to drop it out of top 25. I don't think so. But I prefer not to lose. I'd rather win. And who knows about Kendall Murphy going into this game? Like I said earlier, she's been in street clothes and recovering from all-season shoulder surgery. So hopefully she just gets healthier for Big 12, maybe. I don't know about like against UCF on the road, but maybe some other matches, maybe. But we'll have to wait and see on that situation. And like getting your middles involved offensively will really be good at times to give some less pressure on your outside hitters / opposites. And you got to have your key players step up in this type of game while shutting down the key players for Florida in this game. And I know, what if it's like the best diggers, and you try to limit them, like try to make it hard for them as much as possible to dig that ball out. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like, subscribe button. See you guys later on the road to 800 subscribers. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 or more. Some of my this course like video. Comment really helps YouTube background. Some more people see it. Sharing the videos help as well. Some more people could watch. And if you're watching, and hit subscribe button. It's free notification bell as well. And whatever you did right in that last ranked matchup you had with SMU, bring it to this game. But whatever you did wrong in that matchup, you got to correct for this game, because I do think this is a more gettable match than I thought back in the beginning of the year, because it's a new head coach. Anything could happen. And honestly, you might need to take some timeouts, but make them take timeouts. And you gotta keep it cool. Keep it cool in terms of composure, because the last thing you want to do is get in trouble. And try to not be intimidated by the other team, and don't let that home crowd from Florida, get involved as much as possible. Just go out and play tough in this game, and say, hey, we're not backing down to you, even though we're on the road. We're gonna find a way to get a win on you somehow.